Hey dude, this is Jaden Storm coming to Team Shadow Strike, and this is going to be another deck profile. This time I'm going to be reviewing my Vermilion Crimson deck. This is the first Narcomi deck profile I've done in quite a while, I believe. Now, I do want to say, guys, there's probably a couple other deck profiles you're surprised that you have not seen from me yet, and that is both, that's probably Great Nature, and I really want to give you guys a Great Nature Stride deck. I really do. I just haven't been able to get the last few cards that I need to finish that deck because of Nationals coming up, and plane tickets and hotels, they're expensive. So I just didn't have the extra money to get that together, but I am planning on giving that to you guys when I finally do get it together. Fortunately, all the stuff has gone down quite a bit, even though it's still very good in my opinion, but I'm going to scoop it up if I can at Nats, and if not, I'll buy it when I get back so I can give you guys that deck profile, because I'm really excited about the new Great Nature stuff. But anyway, we're just going to jump straight into this, and hope you guys enjoy it. So this is going to be a Vermilion Crimson deck. So for the starting Vanguard, I play Brawler Fighting Draco Kid. This is the starter that I always figured I would use for this deck because of just Vermilion Crimson's ability. For those of you who don't know what this guy does, his ability is Forerunner, slide him out when he's rode by a grade 1 of the same clan. And then his ability is put him into the soul, choose one of your Vanguards, and it gets the ability of Counterblast 1. During your turn, when your opponent's rearguard in the front row is put into the drop zone and your Vanguard is in Legion, you may pay the cost. If you do, choose one of your opponent's rearguards in the same column as a rearguard that was on, that the rearguard was on, and retire it. Essentially, you're basically giving your Vanguard the ability of Neoflame. If you kill a unit in the front row, you're allowed to Counterblast 1 and kill the unit behind it. And since it is an act ability with the Thunderbolt, if you kill 2 front row units, you can Counterblast 2 and kill both of the units in the back if you would like, which is pretty cool if you're in a tight spot. So. A lot of people are using the grade 3 searcher, but my builds, I don't like using the grade 3 searcher, and you'll see why momentarily, I'm sure. So for the triggers, we play 4 Spark Edge Draco Kid for 4 crit. This is my favorite crit for Narcomi. So of course we gotta play it. Next we play 2 Yellow Gem Carbuncle and 2 Eradicator Yellow Gem Carbuncle. Then we play 4 Blue Gem Carbuncle, and we play 4 Green Gem Carbuncle. See what I did there? I played all the carbuncles and the cute dragons. So, also I like this because if any of you watch Digimon Fusion, he kind of reminds me of Shoutmon. So, 8 crit, 4 draw, 4 heal. You could play 5 draw, but then you would have just a lowly draw trigger out there that's not a carbuncle, and that wouldn't be fun. But I probably would play 5 draws in a major event if I were to take this. Next we play 4 not Eradicator, just 4 Wyvern Guard Golds. These would be Anastasia's, I think she's called, the G Perfect, but I only have 2 of them, and those are 2 other cards I need to pick up. But in all honesty, they're not a necessity, but they are nice just to have. If you can't get a hold of them, these are fine, or the Eradicator one if you still have that. But I don't want to play just 2 of the Gs and 2 of this, because that makes no sense to me. But once I get the Unflipping Perfect Guards, they will go in. But until then, these actually are working pretty well. I play-tested this very same build about 2 Mondays ago at my locals, and I went XO, and I didn't win the tournament because me and my friend Sam, we were in the finals, and it was really late, and we decided to split because we were tired and wanted to go home and eat. So, this build works just fine with these. Next, we play 3 Mighty Bolt Dragoon. This is our Stride Enabler. Also, when he's placed on the rearguard, you may reveal a grade 3 from your hand, discard it, and search out Vanquisher and add it to your hand, and then discard a card. So it's there if you want to dig for a different grade 3. That should spoil a little bit about this deck profile. Next, we play 3 Eradicator Egghelm Draco Kid. This is the Narukami Limit Removaler, or Limit Eraser, because Crimson's ability is a Limit Break, but if we have this on the field, we can use it as early as turn 3 if we really want. Well, turn 5, because your opponent has to be a grade 3 in order for you to Legion, but you won't have to wait till you're at 4 damage. And then we play 3 copies of Tonfa Brawler Arc. This unit is really good, especially when you're on Crimson and in Legion. Anytime a rear guard is destroyed and sent to the drop zone, if you are in Legion, he gets plus 3k. So if you kill 2 front row units, he becomes a 13k booster, which is really good. So grade 2s, we play 4 copies of Dragonic Death Scythe. This card is finally able to be played in a Vermilion deck, because I couldn't play it in my original Vermilion deck because we didn't have many ways to inflict damage, and we had to save what damage we did have for our Vermilion costs, so this was kind of hard to fit in there, unless you also played Garudas, which I tried. I think I played 2 Death Scythes, but I never used him because I was afraid of using that skill. But in this build, since Crimson allows Vermilion to get his skill off for free, you have all the counterblasts in the world, plus you have the unflipping perfect guard, so we can play our 4 Death Scythe, which is really good. And plus, this card's gone up in price quite a bit, so if you do have any laying around that you aren't using, put them in your trade book. You can trade them off for a pretty good price. Next, we play 4 Dusty Plasmas. This is a weird choice, I know, because this only works if I'm on Crimson. But to be real honest, the only other thing I would do is play Voltage Horns, and I only have 1, but I was thinking about playing 2 Voltage and then 2 of something else. But to be real honest, it doesn't really change numbers that much, but if you're in Crimson and he swings 12, and if not, you can still hit 16k columns with all my boosters, so I really don't see the difference. But it's player preference, but I mean, this works just fine for me. And plus, this is mainly for even though this deck is mainly, I was built mainly just to have because I love Vermilion. Even with the 4 Plasma, this deck can still hang with all the decks in the meta. And then we play 3 copies of Military Brawler Lisai. His ability is during your turn, your opponent's rear guard is put into the drop zone and your Vanguard is in Legion. It gains plus 3k, so it's pretty much the grade 1 version of your Brawler Arc. So he becomes 15k by himself during Crimson's attack if he wipes out 2 front rows. So if you have a Brawler Arc behind him, you get a 28k column. So really, really good. Really good. So, but you could also play 10k vanillas if you wanted, but I just wanted to play the Plasmas because, finally Vermilion's back. Next, for the grade 3s, we play 4 copies of Dragonic Kaiser Crimson. And we also play 3 copies of Dragonic Kaiser Vermilion. So, anyway, Crimson's ability, Legion. He Legions, obviously, with Vermilion. And then his ability is choose one of your Legion mates' act ability until the end of turn. The ability loses its cost until the next time it is played. And then his other skill is Vanguard, Soul Blast 1. If you have another unit in the middle column, this unit gets plus 2k, which really comes in handy. If your drop zone just isn't heavy enough before you Legion, you can just, as long as you have a boost behind him, you can just Soul Blast 1 or 2 away until you have that magic number. And then Vermilion, we all know what Vermilion does. Limit Break, Counterblast 3, he gains 2,000 power, and he attacks every unit in the front line. So when you're in Legion, and you're at Limit Break, or you have the Limit Removaler on the field, you can declare his skill. It's active for free. They gain plus 2,000 more power, and then they swing at the entire front line. So it would be starting off at least at 24, which is really, really cool. But this is pretty nasty for most decks to deal with because it's really hard for any deck out there to just replenish their front line support every single turn. And then for the last grade 3, we play 2 copies of Dragonic Vanquisher. Now, the reason I decided to go and play 9 grade 3s was for the simple fact being, I love Vermilion, and I'm glad that I'm able to have a deck that revolves around him somewhat again. But you do not want to ride this. You do not want to ride this under any circumstance. That's why we play Mighty Bolt. If, say, this is in my hand, this is here to literally just go call, ditch, add. It gets Vermilion to the drop zone, which is where I want at least 1 copy of them so I can Legion when I want. The other 2 can be rear guards, they can be stride fodder, and it gets me to a better unit to have as my Vanguard. Even though I love Vermilion to pieces, this is a better option to ride as a Vanguard if you don't get Crimson. And even in most cases, even if this is my hand, I really like going into Vanquisher first and doing a lot of damage in the early game, and then going to Crimson. So it gives me options, even though in some matchups I do prefer to go to this first. Like in Aquaforce, I would recommend just go straight to Crimson. But it's player preference. So that's the main deck. Oh, well, let me explain Vanquisher real quick. I didn't even explain Vanquisher. So Vanquisher's ability, Generation Break 2. When your opponent's rear guard is put into the drop zone due to an effect from one of your cards, this unit gets plus 3k and plus 1 crit, which is really cool. It's the Gauntlet Buster ability. And then his Stride skill is during your turn, when your G unit strides over this, you may counterblast 1. If you do, choose one of your opponent's rear guards in the front line and bind it face up. So really, really good to just start picking away at your opponent's field. And then for the G units, we play 3 copies of Lightning Dragon Knight Zorus. This, out of all the rare G units, is probably the best one. Just because against any Legion matchup, they are going to hate this card. His ability is whenever he attacks and his attack hits a Vanguard, you may your opponent has to select one of their rear guards and retire it, and you get to select 2 cards out of their drop zone and bind them. So it takes them out of the game, so your opponent can't Legion them back. So it really hurts in a Legion matchup. So if you're playing against any kind of Sing Saber variant, if you're playing against pretty much Shadow Paladin or anything that relies on Legion, this is your best bet. I still play 1 Blizza just because I like Blizza, because whenever you're in the late game and you just need to push for a huge number, Blizza can help you with that. And then for the final G unit is we play 4 Conquering Supreme Dragon Conquest Dragon. So good. His ability is Stride, obviously, and then the act ability of you may flip over a copy of Conquest Dragon from your G-Zone face up, and if the number of face-up cards in your G-Zone is 2 or more, choose one of your opponent's rear guards in the front row and retire it, and all of your units in the front row gain plus 5k for every one of your opponent's rear guards that is open in the front line. So essentially what you want to do is you want to get rid of 1 with an effect, with like a Death Scythe or with Vanquisher's skill, and then use his ability to flip 1 over and get rid of the other, and your entire front line can gain 10,000 power, which is really good. So let me show you a little example of that. So let's say we're on Vanquisher for this situation. Say we still have our booster here. Let's say we have this, and let's say we have that there, that there. So let's say this is what our field looks like. So Stride of Conquest. Say this hasn't been played yet. Say we call this Counterblast 2, destroy 1 of the units in the front row. Or what you could do is you could use this ability to Counterblast 1 and just banish it. And then you can use Conquest's ability to destroy the second one. Or you could stride, banish one, call, get rid of a booster, then use his skill and blow something else up. There's just so much that you can do. That's just really good, because then if you clear out your opponent's front line, you're looking at 19, 19, and 36. So you'll be, this is a 26k column. Basically, you'll have two 26k columns, and this right here would be a 41 swinging Vanguard, which in the late stages of the game, which is when Conquest is going to come out, obviously, is going to be really hard for your opponent to deal with. So just something to think about. So anyway, guys, this is my Dragonic Kaiser Crimson Stride deck. A lot of fun playing this deck. I really enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. I missed playing Vermilion and Narukami. It's extremely heavy control, so for you control players out there, this is going to be one of your best friends. The ability to have, I mean, I know a lot of people don't play Crimson, Vermilion, and Vanquisher in the same deck, but I really do like it, just because it gives me options. So it's really up to you as the player, but this build has been working very, very solid for me, and I really enjoy playing it. So anyway, guys, in the comment section below, please leave your thoughts and comments below. Always like to hear what you guys have to say. If there is a deck profile that you would like to see, please let me know, and I'll be happy to do it. One thing I will say real quick is there is a way that you can play with the new Eradicator stuff and this, so if you would like to see an Eradicator Narukami deck profile updated using the strides and the new support from Set 2, please let me know, and I will do that for you guys. So thank you very much for watching, guys. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, thumbs up this video, leave me some feedback in the comment section, and I'll see you next time.